When it comes to video games, just like all forms of media, people have different tastes. Some enjoy the timeless classics being replayed over and over, some enjoy the expansive games that can have hours poured into it and it still wouldn't be finished, and some enjoy the thrills of competitive online multiplayer. Personally, I love a variety of video games, but I generally like games that blend challenge, intensity, story, and overall fun, with a touch of competitive multiplayer in certain games. And that's why my favorite game of all time is one that's made for literal toddlers. Two Kirby games, The Amazing Mirror and Squeak Squad, were released in 2004 and 2006 respectively, and they were handled by the company Flagship, and they were Kirby games alright. They were fine games, but just felt kind of bland. The Amazing Mirror had an open world aspect and an even edgier Meta Knight somehow, but that's really all I remember from it, and Squeak Squad was the most Kirby that Kirby can get, and it was released only a few days before the Wii's launch, which meant that we would have to wait longer for a Kirby game on the Wii. The previous major Kirby game that had released was Crystal Shards in the year 2000, and since then, we've gotten a remake, but otherwise nothing new. But on June 15th, 2010, at E3, we saw the pink puff on the big screen. This was it. We were getting our new mainline Kirby title. What the hell is this? Kirby's Epic Yarn, as the game's title and one look at the game suggests, is the result of blending Kirby and your child's crafts project. Kirby's Epic Yarn takes place in Dreamland, where there were rumors of a caped sorcerer turning people into yarn. The game introduces Kirby with him minding his own business until he spots a tomato that looks completely different compared to his surroundings. Instead of continuing with his day and finding something better to eat, Kirby sucks the tomato up and pisses off Crafty Stash over here. Crafty Stash, who's called Yin Yarn, sucks Kirby into his magic sock and transports Kirby into Patchland, where everything, including himself, is made of yarn.
This grass feels funny, Kirby thought. It feels like pants.
Immediately after entering this world, Kirby spots a yarn creature who looks awfully similar to himself, as if he were a Player 2 character or something, being terrorized by a yarn cyclops thing. Kirby tries to suck it up, but since he's made of yarn, air just passes right through him. Instead, Kirby gets the bright idea to become Optimus motherfucking Prime, carrying the yarn creature, whose name is Prince Fluff, to safety. Prince Fluff says that he needs to find the pieces of magic yarn to stitch Patchland back together, because Crafty Stash tore the entire world apart like he was cutting a pizza, and the journey begins. The game's story is definitely one that's less serious than most, and that definitely fits the game's art style. It's almost like this game was made for children. Playing Kirby's Epic Yarn at first feels like a Kirby game with a yarn aesthetic. This feeling lasts for a minute until this happens. This ain't my Kirby. Instead of his usual inhale, Kirby's main attack is to use a yarn whip to either tear apart his foes or reshape them into balls in order to be chucked at other enemies. Along with that, Kirby can transform into a myriad of things such as a parachute to float downwards slowly, a car in order to charge at high speeds, a submarine when swimming is needed, and many more. Throughout certain levels, there are things known as metamortexes. Metamortexes drastically alter Kirby's form and change the gameplay of the game, with Tankbot Kirby being a big tank that shoots missiles, Dolphin Kirby allowing a different form of swimming, Fire Truck Kirby being exactly what you think it is, and the stupid Train Metamortex that has you switch from playing the game like this to this. I feel like I have arthritis. The different worlds you'll be visiting are all unique in the sense that they're all made of arts and crafts, and it's not just looks. The level design heavily revolves around the game's aesthetic, such as the background of the stage being a layer of fabric, with platforms being sewn to the background. There are areas with zippers that can be zipped away in order to reveal hidden areas, pieces of the background that can be peeled away, buttons attached to string that can be pulled to bring things closer to you, clumps of dirt and snowballs being represented by cotton. Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of level mechanics that utilize the arts and crafts art style. Each and every level has unique visuals that make them memorable, such as Sweets Park scenery being entirely made of desserts, Splash Beach is a unique mechanic of starting at nighttime and having Kirby wake up the sun to make it daytime, and Mushroom Run taking place in a forest, but Kirby is tiny and has to bounce to the goal on mushrooms. A big part of this game's appeal is the visuals. I mean, what was I talking about for the past minute? Without them, I don't think that many people would enjoy Kirby's Epic Yarn. A lot of people enjoy games for certain unique features or gimmicks, such as Mario Kart with items, Smash with a lack of items for certain people, GTA for the violence, and mobile games for their microtransactions. Yeah, that one was a lie. I spent the last minute or so heavily complimenting the game's visuals, but the overall gameplay is really fun as well. When it comes to the gameplay itself, most levels usually revolve around a certain gimmick, such as Flower Fields heavily utilizing the pendulum transformation, with the dandelions and the frogs, with the UFO Metamortex coming in at the latter half of the level. Though not all levels have Metamortexes, and most of the gameplay is like a typical platformer, just with Kirby's Epic Yarn's unique mechanics. While most of the game plays this way, certain levels deviate from this. There are some levels that utilize metamorphexes the entire way through, such as Frigid Fjords and Dusk Dunes using the off-roader, Mount Slide using the spin border, and Outer Rings using the rocket ship. Even in levels without metamorphexes, they still have something that makes them memorable, and the most memorable in my opinion is Evergreen Lift, which is a vertical level that has Kirby wind up the lift with a star attached to it to move up while withstanding an onslaught of enemies, managing collectibles, and rewinding the lift to keep going. And eventually the lift stops as the star is placed on top of the tree you were ascending. This level feels like a perfect mix of challenge and fun, and if Mushroom Run didn't exist, this would be my favorite level in all of Kirby's Epic Yarn. As you saw in the footage, you'll be collecting thousands of beads. These beads are used to raise a level's rank from bronze to gold, and is required for 100% completion. Outside of this, beads can be used to purchase furniture for Kirby's apartment. Oh yeah, Kirby's the owner of an apartment. In each level, there are 3 hidden treasure chests, with one holding a music disc that plays a piece of the game's music, usually the music used in the level. The other 2 hold furniture items that can be used to decorate Kirby's apartment, and these furniture pieces fit with the themes of the levels they are from, such as a donut pillow and a dessert dresser for Sweet's Park. This feature is really cute, but why'd they make it so that there's a limit of 24 furniture items for Kirby's pad? It's like I walk up to my own home with a brand new chair, only to find out that I have too many things on my wall, so I can't put my chair down. There's also the forced-in motion controls required for every Wii game, so that means you have to use the pointer to decorate. And I thought the train was bad. About the music pieces, this game's piano-filled music is absolute ear candy, with the track Snowy Fields' as orchestral beauty, Mushroom Run's peaceful piano, and Fountain Garden's adventurous peppy feel, being prime examples of this game's wonderful music. Some of the music tracks in Kirby's Epic Yarn are remixes of tracks in past Kirby titles, such as Whispy's Woods being a remix of Green Greens, the Tank Bot's music being the Mint Leaf music, and there are songs such as Gourmet Race, Battleship Halberd, and Butter Building included. Of course, the most important track in all of Kirby history gets a remix too, the Level Clear dance music. Kirby's Epic Yarn is a joyous experience alone, but it's also very fun with a friend. Player 2 takes control of Prince Fluff and controls exactly like Kirby, but you can also grab your partner and chuck them at enemies, which never ceases to amuse people I play with. If you're tired of the main game, which, why would you be, then you can talk to Kirby's neighbors and play minigames. There's hide and seek, bead collecting, murder practice, carrying, and racing. These minigames are a chore to play through and they needlessly get hard near the last levels, and I don't recommend playing these more than once after getting the wallpapers for Kirby's pad. As I said in the beginning, Kirby's Epic Yarn is my favorite game of all time, and I really enjoy the cute visuals, the wonderful music, and the Waddle Dee's face planting and making a little squeaking sound. Would I recommend playing Kirby's Epic Yarn? You already know the answer. It's cute, it's charming, it's Kirby, and it's definitely a blast to play through. But then again, this suggestion's coming from someone who played through Super Paper Mario on a Japanese Wii. This guy's a fucking lunatic. Though I literally just said that I recommend playing Kirby's Epic Yarn, the difficulty is a common point brought up when discussing this game. The Kirby games are normally quite easy, but this one's so easy that you can't even die. You don't get majorly punished for getting hit, and if you fall down into a bottomless pit, Angie comes and carries you back, though you lose some beads both ways. Personally, the difficulty never really affected my experience with the game, but wouldn't it just be better if there was a new mode that added extra difficulty? Oh, like a mode where Kirby could have limited hits he could take and extra enemies chasing him! I mean, I'm not complaining. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn is a port on the 3DS released almost a decade after the original, since not that many people would be willing to buy a Wii or a Wii U just to play this game. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn added a few new things. A new harder mode where Kirby has a limited amount of hits he can take, and where special devil enemies chase him, which are total pushovers. New subgames, Dedede Go Go Go, a mad dash to the finish while collecting the most beads, and Slash and Bead, a Super Smash Bros. Brawl simulator. There are also new furniture items, but there's still that 24 furniture limit which I still don't get. And the removal of Kirby dancing at the level results screen. This game's literally unplayable now. There's also the addition of new Ravel abilities, a somewhat replacement for the copy abilities, and some do behave like previous ones, such as Wire, Nylon, and Button. The game's already easy enough without them, but I admit they are quite fun. Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn does look a bit more saturated, but it is otherwise the same game, minus the multiplayer and a few extra gimmicks. I really just bought Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn in order to play through the game again. I do prefer playing on a Wii Remote than a 3DS, but I did find myself enjoying the new Subgames quite a bit, especially Slash and Bead. Kirby's Epic Yarn and Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn are quite fine games, though a little bit on the easier side. However, don't let that stop you from having a blast with this game, and I think it's great to play after something stressful like Dark Souls, Cuphead, or your taxes. Now excuse me, I've gotta go, or else I'm gonna run late for kindergarten.
We're rolling deep into your underground creek, though the center prior notice caught for you. We wanna make this party you don't wanna skip. Gonna be a show to remember.